Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to PC Building Simulator. I'm finally getting around to making a video regarding this game. I've had this game since it released, and I seriously have not made a single video on this game. I don't know how. I literally play this game almost every day. I have like 200 plus hours on this game of just building random computers and stuff because I love technology, I love building computers. So I was inspired to start making videos on this game since I can't really build computers like I would love to in real life because it's super expensive and stuff. I figured why not start doing that in this game since it makes it easier. I don't have to pay actual money to build computers. It makes things a lot easier. So pretty much we're just going to do random, crazy, and awesome builds in this game, and hopefully some people will find it enjoyable. And for today's video, we're actually going to build my gaming PC. And about as close as we can to, I guess, because they don't have every single part ever in this game, so not everything I have on my computer is in here, but I'll try to build it as close as I can. Alright, so we are in game as you can see, and we're going to start building this computer. I do have a lot of hours in this game, so I can move kind of fast sometimes, but I'll try to be a little slow and kind of explain each part and how I chose it and whatnot. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to go pick our case. The case that I actually use for my computer is the Fractal Design Mesh by C Dark Tempered Glass. I love this case. My cousin got this case for his build and he got me hooked on it, man. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yep, that's the case we're getting for my build. So this is the case I have. Obviously looks a little nicer in real life. It's just video game graphics pretty much, but not a bad looking case at all. So the first thing we're going to start doing is we're going to start taking apart this case, taking off the side panel, the dust filter, the other dust filter, and the other side panel here in the back. And you can see we've exposed the case quite a bit. My favorite thing about this case though is the front mesh panel. It just allows to pull so much airflow. If we compare it to like the Fractal Design R5 or R6 case, there's not as much airflow being pulled in through the front because there's the plastic piece with I believe airflow coming in through the sides. So I like that about this case. It's got that front mesh panel. I can actually go here and choose it as well, put it back in. It's just an awesome design. I really like that they did that. So to start off, I don't have these case fans in my computer. I used to, but I don't have them anymore. I think we're gonna start by actually putting in my power supply. I actually don't have a crazy power supply. My computer, I originally bought a computer off a friend of mine and pretty much rebuilt it from the ground up. So one of the only remaining parts I have left from his build is this power supply, the Corsair TX650M semi-modular power supply, 650 watts though, not too shabby. The storage I have in my build is kind of weird. I think he ripped a 3.5 inch drive out of a external enclosure, you know, like an external hard drive. I think he ripped it out of there. I don't know what he did. I believe it's like a 4 terabyte drive, but I can only use 2 terabytes of it for some odd reason. I don't know why. So we're gonna go ahead and slap in a 2 terabyte hard drive because that kind of lines up with how much storage I have right now. And I also have, of course, an SSD in my build. The closest one in this game is the ADATA XPG because I have a SanDisk, which is red. And this is about as close as it's going to get. I actually also have this SSD mounted down here because I didn't have long enough cables to reach up here, but for this build we will have to put it up here. So that's our storage taken care of, and now I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of the fans I have in my computer, which I actually have the Corsair HD 140s and 120s. I got a little bit to say about these fans. Like, they're cool. They do pull a lot of airflow. And obviously the RGB looks awesome. The problem is the IQ software messes these things up quite a bit. I've had a lot of issues with getting these things to work, with a few LEDs being white and then the rest being RGB and just not really working correctly. So if you're gonna buy Corsair fans, I'd maybe watch out a little bit. I haven't had the best of luck with it, and it was really expensive to get it. I had to get a lot of extra parts to get the RGB to work, and it was kind of a hassle. But just for now, I'll put these front 2 fans in there, and we'll move on to getting the motherboard. Now, they don't have my motherboard in this game. I have a Ryzen based system, so obviously I went with X470 since I have a Ryzen 7 2700X. I'll just go ahead and say it. The closest board to mine is the Gigabyte X470 Aorus Gaming 7, because I actually have the Ultra Gaming in my build. So this is about as close as we can get. I don't really like the white on this motherboard. It kind of doesn't really match anything with the case, but like I said, this is about as close as it's going to get. And like I also said, as I run out of air, we have a 2700X in this computer actually recording this game right now, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and get that in there. As you can see, the detail in this game is not half bad. It's not like the most detailed game of all time, but the graphics are not bad at all. I think they use more of a photorealistic approach to getting some of this stuff done, but not bad at all. Before we put the CPU cooler on though, I'm going to go ahead and add my RAM, which of course I have running in dual channel. And for that RAM, we are using the Corsair, as I fail at spelling Corsair. We're using some of the Avengers Pro RGB RAM. They don't have my exact RAM in here as well. They only have the slowest they have for the black RGB RAM is 3600 speed. I have 3200 in my build, clocked at 2933. So we will also be replicating that in this game as well. And before we add the CPU cooler, we actually have to add the rest of the fans since they don't work for some reason. I mean, it makes sense. Trying to put this fan on with the CPU cooler here is kind of a pain in the ass. Believe me, I have tried. So we'll add those and add our CPU cooler, which is the CryoRig H7. I know I'm moving kind of fast. This build was already planned, so when I do future videos with unplanned builds, I won't be moving as fast, but obviously I know my computer, so I know what I'm putting in here. The H7, but the CryoRig H7 is a nice cooler. It works very well, but man, it was kind of a pain in the ass to put inside of my build, to be completely honest with you. And we're pretty much almost done. We just have pretty much one more part to add, which is my graphics card. And the graphics card I actually went with is the 1070 Ti. Now I may put up a Bottleneck Calculator for this, because these 2700X and the 1070 Ti actually go together pretty well. And I do have this Advanced Edition Asus ROG Strix graphics card, and the build is pretty much complete. In terms of cables though, that's our next thing. I don't really have special cables in my computer, so we'll just go with this ribbon plastic plain black cables. They will work pretty well. I'll go ahead and just add in all these cables. I know you can have it auto do the cables, but I don't like that. I'll probably showcase how I have my free build set up here once we get the build complete. And now we're pretty much good to go. We're ready to put the case back together and get an operating system installed. So let's go ahead and put this case back together. We will have to remove this PSU plug to put the PSU mount back on, and then we can pretty much start slapping this thing back together. Trust me, this is a lot faster than it was in real life. Having to manually unscrew things makes things take a hell of a lot longer. And there we go. That is a completed build in all of its glory. That is basically what my computer looks like when it's turned off. Different motherboard of course, but that's about as close as it's going to get. So we're going to go ahead and power this system on and immediately jump into the BIOS to mess around with a few things. As you can see, obviously all the build shows up here: 2700X, the 16 gigs of RAM, the 1070 Ti. I don't think I have XMP. I don't even know if I have it enabled on my computer. I think I did a manual RAM overclock to 2933, so we'll do the same thing here. It's as easy as doing that in the game. It may take a little more troubleshooting in real life, as I found out trying to get my RAM to run at 3200. 2933 was unfortunately my soft spot for this build for some reason. And we'll go ahead and select the SSD as our boot device and boot this into, I guess Linux is pretty much what this is. So no Windows, but we got Linux. This is basically Linux. I mean, let's just be honest. So let's go ahead and add a couple of extra programs we're going to want to do. Of course, we're going to benchmark it. Of course, I'm going to benchmark it in this video. Come on now. And add the lighting, and we will get that configured to sort of match how my system works in real life. I don't have these peripherals either, but they're the coolest looking in the game. Okay, so now that we're booted in, go ahead and just showcase this build with all RGB lighting. As you can see, it's a pretty nice looking build. Now, unfortunately for me, not all of my stuff works right, so my computer kind of ends up looking more like this. Like I'll show you kind of what my computer ends up looking like most of the time, because like the LEDs just don't want to work in these two fans, right? So this is kind of what my build looks like all the time, but for the sake of this video, we'll switch that back to being in RGB, of course. Okay, so we are going to benchmark my computer in a video game, which is kind of interesting to say, but I wanted to make this one a little bit cooler. As you can see, we have a second PC over here, and this PC was built to match my computer when I originally bought it from a friend of mine. I bought this computer. It was originally a computer that was in a full tower case. It had an i5, you can see the specs over here. It had an i5 6500. It originally had a 1050 Ti, and he has switched out the 1050 Ti for a HP branded, HP manufactured, HP board partner, whatever you want to call it, 1063 gigs. So it was part of an HP Omen build. And he switched it into some CyberPower PC case he got from a friend or something. I don't really know, but this is about as close as we can get to that. It had quite a few different specs. It had a CyberPower PC case. It had a Gigabyte H110M S2H motherboard, obviously Skylake. It had the i5 6500. It had a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo LED edition, the red LED. Same power supply, the TX650M. It had the G-Skill Ripjaws V in 3000 speed, and a 1063 gig, obviously not an EVGA one, but an HP Omen branded one. The hard drive, I put the SSD in there, and a few fans here and there. This is pretty much what the computer looked like. You might see this missing cable. I can't get these fans to connect. There's not enough fan headers on this motherboard, but it'll work perfectly fine for a benchmark. So what we're going to do is benchmark my current gaming PC versus how it was pretty much when I got it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to boot this up, and then we're going to run these benchmarks and see, you know, to the game and what the game thinks I've improved on since I got it. Because obviously I don't know how accurate these scores will be to like doing it in real life. I haven't actually benchmarked my computer using 3D Mark or anything. So we're going to go ahead and benchmark these two computers. Obviously we know which one's going to win, of course, but it'll be interesting to see what the game thinks the difference is. Alright, so the benchmarking is done. We have dimmed the lights a little bit to show off the RGB inside of the Mesh 5C over there. And running up to this Mesh 5C, you can see the game gave us a benchmark of 6649, 6649. Not too shabby. Obviously our CPU kind of trumps the graphics card. You can see we got about 29.3 frames per second on the CPU, and 41 and then 36 or 37 if you want to round it up on the graphics score. Not a bad score at all. And this of course is my current system that I'm running right now while making this video. Ryzen 7 2700X and a GTX 1070 Ti. Let's move on to the old build, what it was originally when I got it. Now obviously I could do some more testing I could throw, because when I got the 2700X I didn't get the 1070 Ti until a little bit later. So I could have done a benchmark with the 2700X and the 1063 gig, but that would have just been kind of stupid. I'll just tell you right now, yes, there was some bottlenecking. You can calculate that if you want using the PC Bottleneck Calculator. I'll link that in the description. But there was some definite bottleneck with the with the 1060 and 2700X. And as you can see here, we got the 3531 as our score for the original system. So we jumped up about, roughly 3,000 points here between the two systems. And of course, like if I could build the exact old system I had, you would really see how kind of ugly it was. But the Mesh 5C is just a solid case. I'm so happy with how this build turned out. It's my first real high-end build. It's not like super high-end, like mid to high-end system, and I absolutely love it. Can't wait to upgrade it sometime way in the future. I think I am okay with having this current setup right now. Obviously in the future it'd be nice to get something better. But that is pretty much gonna wrap up the first video in the PC Building Simulator series, where we just build really awesome looking computers because I can't afford to do it in real life. That is pretty much the goal of the series, to just have fun building computers, talking about components, and having a good time, spreading knowledge, learning things, etc., etc. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see some more, drop a like down below, leave a comment, let me know if you enjoyed it. And I think that's all from me for now. Next time, we'll probably be tackling a bit of an older system. I'm thinking of doing a Skylake build for the next video, so that should be pretty cool. A high-end Skylake build at that, so that should be very fun. If you're interested in that, stay tuned, be coming sooner than you think. So, I'm going to go ahead and end this one here. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
A couple milli now, I'm causing a commotion. I've been coasting, hear my name around the